What's going on, everybody? John Stamper here, host of ADOM TV, and so excited to be coming to you today. And more importantly, we are really excited about these mini casts in 2020, talking to so many of the great companies in our profession, and more importantly, how they can help you, the dental manager, and your team with all of their great products and services. So our guest today, Julia Popovich from Clear, which I'm really excited for you to learn more about her and some great insight she's going to share about Clear membership plans. But many of you, hopefully in 2019, listened to a lot of the ADOM radio podcast we did with Dave Monahan, CEO and founder of Clear, as he shared all kinds of great insight on membership plans. But as we move into 2020, we're stepping it up a little bit. We got Julia on, we got video. She's ready to go. So Julia, welcome to ADOM TV.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today to share some of the items that we talk with our practices all the time. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right. So everybody, what Julia is going to talk about today, I'm just going to frame out a couple of things, some objectives of today's video cast, and then she's going to share a little bit about herself, and then we'll hop right into it. But I think most importantly, what Julia and I were talking about before we started here was so many of you now hopefully are seeing the value of membership plans. There are tens of thousands of uninsured patients out there that want care, and membership plans are such a great creative way to do that. Once you go down that path, as Julia is going to share with all of you, though, there's ways to split that up across generations, right? We have pediatric patients, there's the baby boomers, how do they buy their plans, how do millennials buy their plans? So that's some of the things that Julia's going to get to in the marketing side. Clear has done a lot of great work to keep things general for you, to make sure that you have a plan that works for your patients, but we're going to get into details on that. Those are some of the learning objectives today. So Julia, before we get started, share with everybody a little bit about yourself.
Okay, great. So as John said, my name is Julia. I'm a member of our growth team here at Clear. So really what I do is I work with our practices day in and day out on all aspects of your membership plan. So it could be, we just had a really big wave of people updating their yearly fee increases. So we're going to take a look at those membership plan pricing, make sure that we're good to go. It could be questions on renewal, wanting to offer a different type of plan for your patients. But I feel fortunate to work with practices who have been on the platform for a little bit, and really to have worked to develop this growth team. It's really important for us at Clear that you have a continual partner. We are not a set it and forget it platform. So we make sure that you have somebody in a team that you can go to get questions and answers, and really how to boost and grow your membership plan, as well as look at the performance of it. So I'm, again, really excited to be here today.
And before we get started, Julia may look familiar to many of you because she was at conference last year, right? You were there.
I was. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I can't even speak, to the experience that was attending, the ADOM conference down in Florida. It is amount of just education that was happening there, and all of these elements. It was incredible to be a part of. And I really enjoyed getting to meet some of the practices that I work with and put faces to the voices. So I loved going last year. It was great.
Yeah, Dave and I talk a lot about this. The questions that the practice managers, those at the conference, ask companies like yours is so valuable, right? With you guys leaving there, then being able to come back and work together as a team. And I think in a lot of cases becomes the basis of educational mini casts like this, right? Where you can share with them the things that they're interested about, right? The things that they want to know about. So we're glad you were there. And awesome. All right. So let's get into the mini cast today. So I think really the first thing that I want to ask you about is, let's talk about some of those children patients and how you guys look at this when it comes to membership plans.
Absolutely. So when we look at setting up a pediatric plan or a plan for your kiddos, what we typically do is, it depends if you're a general practice looking for an option or whether you're a pediatric practice, that's your focus. So when it comes to our general practices, typically what we recommend is to offer one child plan for those kids 14 and under. And really the difference in that in the adult plan is that it just includes the cleaning that's appropriate for kids, as well as the x-rays. And it makes sure to have an emergency exam in there. So if anything happens, you can get your kid in there and make sure that you get everything taken care of. So generally, that's what we do with, our general practices. Our pediatric practices are a little different. Your focus is different. So what we see is kind of a natural break that happens based on the age. So you might have a plan for babies and toddlers. It's got your cleanings. It's got, an oral photographic image. allows you to kind of set the basis for that kid to grow with you in your practice. A lot of our practices then will do a child plan. This may address kids from 4 to 13. Again, it's an advancement in the cleaning. It's getting them into that routine care. Typically, will include fluoride as well. And again, that emergency exam is invaluable. So we'll see kind of that middle ground. And then for our practices that with kids 14 and older, we'll set up a plan very similar to our adult complete. We'll call it, a teen complete that can really address that child as they grow and mature. And again, it's the cleaning that's appropriate as well as the yearly x-rays that are important. So we'll set them up. I mean, we use a lot of our practice feedback. Absolutely, you guys are the resident experts and you know what routine care that you need for your membership plan. So we just make sure that we get you in the age ranges that you need so that people are naturally growing and developing with your practice.
Yeah, and I'm sure the parents appreciate that, right? It's one thing to come into a practice and inquire about a membership plan, but then to know that the practice has already taken the time, like you said, to think about that, think ahead based on the demographics of their practice. Not only that, which maybe you can get into this a little bit, but then there's the element of setting up the plan and thinking about the pediatric patients, but then how it's marketed. So maybe talk a little bit about that and some of the creative things that you guys do.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there you kind of started to get onto that, where there's a vulnerability that comes as a parent when your child doesn't have insurance. So being able to easily know that a practice has an option for somebody who is uninsured, and we recommend across all elements of marketing to make sure that your website has that information clearly displayed. So that if I'm uninsured, as just with the way that people operate these days, my first resource is to go to Google and look up what my options are in my area. So having everything filled out on your Google business is important. But then when they click on your website and they're going to check it out, it's important to see that there's a clear option for somebody without insurance, and having the ability to sign up online and get more information. That's one of the crucial parts, because then they can check it out. They can digest a little bit of it before they come to the office. And they come in feeling a little bit more savvy, a little bit more educated, and then they're less likely to not sign up that day. So it's always great to put as much information as you can out there so that patients can truly be educated.
Awesome. All right. So next, let's get into everybody's favorite word, millennials, right? It's
oh no, I try not to be one. So hard.
Yeah, well, I mean, I listen. I get the opportunity to speak with a lot of people, and this is a subject and topic that a lot of people like to talk about right now. And there's such an exciting generation, and I think the reason why you and I were going to address the generation of the millennials today is because many of them have different ways that they purchase things, different ways that they approach their lives, their healthcare, all of that. So it is important to understand that, like you mentioned, in regards to the design of your membership plan, how you market to them, and all that. So let's go there next.
Absolutely. So the crazy stat about the millennial generation is that they are the largest population of uninsured patients. So, and it's happening kind of twofold. The first one is that they're aging out of their parents' insurance. So 26, and I've heard of some cases before 26, they're forced to go out there and look for insurance. And as you guys know, insurance is complicated. It's confusing. There's so much around it that's it's almost too much to handle. So they're looking for something modern, something simple that they can really kind of dig into and know exactly what they're doing. Yep. Now, the second side of it, you do have aging out, but also they're heading into a workforce where dental coverage is no longer a guarantee. So whereas, your boomer generation, they are so used to having that oral coverage that now, we'll talk about them a little bit later, they have a different scenario going on. Your millennial generation, they care about their appearance, they care about their teeth, they care about their oral health, and now they don't know what to do with options because their parent or guardian has taken care of it for the last, 26 years. Yep. So having a membership plan is an amazing solution for them. Now, you don't necessarily need to gear an entire plan and call it your millennial plan. We recommend across all plans to keep it simple. Recommend an adult complete. So this will include 2 cleanings, 2 exams, routine x-rays, and then an emergency exam. And this can stretch past your millennial generation. Now, what you want to make sure of, or what you want to consider with your millennial generation, is a monthly option. You have Netflix, Hulu, gym memberships, all of these things that they don't budget on a yearly aspect, they budget monthly. Right. So they can know they need something that spells out. They don't want a sale. They don't want a conversation. They want something that they can look it up. They can check it out. They can decide what's best for them. And then they move on and they can continue to kind of budget monthly. Right. So don't necessarily have to change the options that you offer, but offering a monthly is a great way to help them out. And currently our millennials are about 20% of our portal. So there is a huge group out there that, again, getting the word out, that's how you bring a lot to your practice.
Yeah, I was actually having a conversation with a colleague of mine the other day, and he was talking about his children, and one of them literally just turned 25 or 26, and that's exactly what he said. He's like, oh, man, I just got a pay raise. You know what I mean? They're off the insurance, all that stuff. They're on their own. And so, but I mean, you and I joke about it, but it's so right. And I think when you combine the way that they like to budget, and this is an important note too for a lot of dental practices, is that the reason why a lot of these subscriptions are so popular is certainly it's how people live their lives now. We live in this monthly, like you said, payment economy. It's just the way that it's always been. But companies now are valued a lot higher when there is some sort of subscription aspect to their business, right? I mean, if you think about it from a cash flow perspective in a dental practice, every little monthly bit that's coming into that practice via a membership plan and or some sort of subscription, it adds up, doesn't it, Julia? And it really is. It's
absolutely.
It's like an unintended positive consequence, I think, in a dental practice when they have and they cater to people that want to pay monthly. So it's an advantage both ways.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest things too, you talk about the recurring revenue, especially if you have a membership plan, you want that plan to make sure that automatically renews because they don't want a lapse in coverage. They want something that is automatically I'm covered. I just want to know it's taken care of. And then, like you said, with monthly, you have steady revenue for the practice. So when you're looking at like you said, a practice perspective, you can say, I know here is exactly what's going to be coming in, this year and next year. This is our renewal rates. Like all of that information is so important to have when you're looking at an internal evaluation. That's, again, some things that we do with our growth team. But yeah, no, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, love it. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about the baby boomer generation. And I think more so those that are retiring. And although there's a lot of differences, I guess you could say, there really are, and I'm sure you're going to share with everybody, some similarities in the sense that with this generation, there's the element of them no longer working and still in many cases finding themselves uninsured and having to find creative ways to continue to get care.
So the boomer generation and those that are coming into retiring, there is such a feeling of vulnerability. And I have a lot of my family members that are going through this right now and why I feel fortunate to work for Clear. But they're so used, like we talked about a little bit earlier, they are so used to having coverage. They've been coming to this dental practice for the last 20 years. And now they look at their next visit and they're like, I don't know if I can go. I don't even know how much an exam costs. And patients generally, they think that procedures are about 3 times more than how expensive they really are, just because of that perception. So, and then they go and Medicaid covers almost nothing. Really, it's only if you're hospitalized, is it something that your Medicaid will take into effect. And with 10,000 people retiring a day and finding that Medicaid isn't an answer, now they're stuck looking to self-funding insurance, which again, it's confusing. It's, there's wait periods, maximums, all of these things to try to navigate. I can't tell you how many of our practices they feel good that they have an option for some of their favorite patients that are coming into retirement to be able to say, your routine care is taken care of. Here's our membership plan. Here's what it includes. And if you need anything else, you get an additional procedure discount. We can cut out the middleman now and we can take everything and we can give it to you. And thank you for being a loyal patient. Yeah. So there's this feel good that goes in both directions, which is truly incredible.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like you said, it's as they retire and interesting, different questions, right? We're talking about a generation that really grew up through what was maybe a time before there was insurance, and then insurance became very popular, became a big part of how they got their care, both on the dental and medical side. And now they're seeing it, like you said, become more complex, unsure of a lot of things. And so, so important that, like you mentioned, that a practice finds ways to support them as well. especially for their health and moving forward. They appreciate it. They want to make sure they're taken care of. So it's good that that's out there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's when we talk about kind of membership plan options, that's where you can keep that adult complete, because it's the most popular that we have on the portal. A lot of patients just need that basic routine care. But what we find with membership plans is that they're actually twice as productive as an uninsured patient. So they want to be loyal to your practice. And now, instead of thinking in 6 months or 8 months, depending on, they're kind of thinking, okay, can I afford to go this time? Or maybe I just won't get x-rays this year. Everything feels fine. So by offering a membership plan, you take away that hesitancy of, oh, can I go? Should I go? And instead it's like, oh, I got my membership plan. It's time for my second cleaning.
Right.
And they are so much more compliant in that respect, which is phenomenal. And we see a big difference. So the Adult Complete is one that you can give, but we also recommend offering a perio plan for your patients who may need that additional care for periodontal disease. So, and I recommend to have 3 of those perio maintenance cleanings in there, because let them come in and be treatment compliant for the 4th. In complete transparency, that is the best revenue decision for your practice. Keep the membership plan to basic routine care and let them pay you for additional procedures in office where you collect that revenue outside of that discount. So you can have your perio maintenance, your 2 cleanings. You can throw your x-rays in there so they're getting them yearly. And then again, that emergency exam, where we have some practices that, like, if I get an emergency patient, that's great, because that's revenue that they might have waited on. Right. So it just takes all of those timelines on that revenue that may just be out a little further and pulls it in, which is great.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So you touched on a little bit on the marketing when we talked about pediatric patients. I got a little ahead of you, and you were as far as that's concerned, but I get excited. Sometimes I'm all over the board. So thanks for your it's just part of the job. But as we kind of wrap, as we talked about all these generations, I know you wanted to focus and share with everybody some marketing ideas and some things that they could do when they're really thinking about marketing to each one of these different generational patients.
Absolutely. So yeah, I could talk about marketing all day. I love those calls. So like I said, having it on your website is so important, not just for a parent, for anybody. They are going to Google for that search. Now, the biggest thing that I talk to a lot of our practices about is, how do I communicate this to my current patients? Because the number one objective of your membership plan is to convert your unloyal, uninsured patients to your membership plan, and really all your patients. So I always recommend to send communication out, and it's dependent on how you do it today. So if you're currently sending out text reminders, if you have a third-party communicator, that's fantastic. If you're more of an email base, stay with that. If your patient group is a little bit older, maybe they respond better to something in the mail or an in-office conversation. Again, we can gear elements towards that. What you want to make sure of is that you have a partner that gives you options for everything.
Right.
So that you can, like I said, if you're texting, you can send a text reminder, and I recommend sending it to everybody and announce that you now have an option for them. And it's along the lines of, are you uninsured? Do you know somebody uninsured? Or are you coming up for retirement? We have an option for you. And then that's where you can add in a link where patients can sign up online, and they can share that with a friend, and you got a new patient by a word of mouth referral, which is one of the strongest out there. Yep. So it's using those channels, and like, we make sure that you have seasonal material so that you can keep it fresh, because you want to make sure you're not putting the same thing in front of them all the time. But that's a great way that you can kind of reach out to those patients, and using an email template or a text template or something along those lines. Now, what we're hearing more and more is that social media, you probably feel it, but social media, there's a true power with it. Yep. So if you are not in the social media game, I recommend to do it, because that is, we see your millennial group is geared towards Instagram. And then as you get older, it gears more towards Facebook. I think you should be on both. Yep. And what's great is your Instagram can power your Facebook. So again, coming up with that content can be extremely overwhelming. So you want to make sure that you're partnering with somebody who can, give you some templates, give you some pictures, some ideas, because you have a practice to run. It's a little bit then to think about creative content. So again, having fresh content that you can kind of plug and play with your patients, and even the ability to look at who's coming in next week and send them a text or an email, gear something specifically towards them and make it a little bit personal. Using your relationship with your patients is the best thing that you can do. They come to you for a reason. They love you guys for a reason. Yeah. So, I mean, using that to fuel your practice is invaluable as well.
So last week, I was involved in a course, and the content expert was sharing with me that I think the statistic was somewhere around like 70% of Facebook users have purchased one thing on Facebook from a Facebook ad. 70%. So we've all been there, right? Yep. And if you really think about it, and you think about people on their feeds, whether any of their social media feeds, and then communicating to them about these things, that's the world that they're living in. And you bring up a very, very good point for so much now for these dental practices is it's not the fact of trying to overwhelm you with all the things you have to do in social media. You had great resources like Julia mentioned with Clear. It is accepting the fact that this is where your customers are living. This is where they're communicating. This is where they are. And what a better place than to be able to, to reach them than the social media channel. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Absolutely. And the best thing about social media is if you think about it, if you're setting up email campaign, like some of these things can be extremely laborsome on the office.
Right.
Social media is so user friendly. And if you have somebody that is comfortable even doing like a 30-second plug about your membership plan, videos are so much more, eye-catching and responsive. Like the click rates are much higher. So if you have somebody that can hop in front of, an Instagram post or just educate your patients, but then it also personalizes your practice. And that is one of the best things that you can do, no matter where kind of what you're doing or how you're doing it. Putting a face to your practice and kind of really letting your patients feel who your practice is, what you guys are made up of, and all the great things that you're doing is, again, another invaluable tool that could potentially also bring in new patients.
Absolutely. And I'm a little biased towards video. I just got to say, I love video. And now ADOM loves video, right? And I'm so excited that we're able to do this now and to bring on great companies, Julia, like Clear, and the work that you guys are doing and get this message out to more ADOM members out there so that they can ultimately help their patients. You've been awesome. Thank you so much. Again, it was always a pleasure speaking with Dave. You certainly have brought a whole new sense of energy to Clear and the knowledge that you shared today. So we really appreciate it. Before we go, we'd love to have you share with everybody where they can find you guys, any great information specifically for ADOM members. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. So you can go to www.clear.com. You can search us on Google. We have information. You can download ebooks. You can request a demo. I always recommend, if you're at all interested, take time and get a demo. Our sales team, our directors are fantastic. They'll walk you through it. It's personalized for you. So it's really important to us to start it on the right foot. So again, a demo is the best way to go. Or if you want more information, we have the ebook, we have videos, all that good stuff.
Awesome. All right. Well, Julia, thank you so much. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
For joining us as we continue to put together this ADOM TV, which we're really excited about. We really appreciate you guys being a part of it, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great weekend.
All right. See ya.
Bye.